This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Are you insane?
This is a sham.
No.
Y'all, just stop.
Finally here. Drum roll. Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam here with Jeff, Al, and Tori. Today, we're looking back at some of our favorite celebrity interviews, like our hilarious conversation with comedian Joy Coy. Did I say that right?
Joe Coy. It said Joy in the.
It says Joy in the.
Joy sounds like his mom.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And sometimes I just like read it verbatim. I don't self-edit, but I should have. Joe, we all love Joe. He's been on the show a couple of times. And he revealed his hack for making perfect rice and why Chelsea Handler poured vodka in his ear. Take a look.
I'm gonna shoot this out of a cannon for you. Why did Chelsea Handler pour vodka in your ear? I just gotta know.
Okay, so I went with my family on a vacation. Oh my God, she did this. She's something, man. So I had water in my ear and I couldn't get it out. She goes, just put alcohol in it. And I said I didn't have alcohol, and she goes, I got some Belvedere, let's use it. And she poured it in my ear. It worked.
No way.
Well, let's just warn our viewers. Hey, viewers, just talk to your doctor first. Don't listen to Joe Coy. Talk to your doctor.
Yeah, our DBL lawyers just had a heart attack.
And like, no offense. No offense, but we're going to need a medical opinion.
You guys said that. Let's go to a doctor for that one.
Tell her that we said it with love, okay? So you recently returned to stand-up. And one of my favorite stories you tell is about you learning how to make rice from your mom. We do have a clip, so let's take a look.
I remember that day. I'm going to teach you how to make rice, and this is the only time I'm going to teach you. Okay? How do I do it? You take a couple scoops of rice, Joseph, put it in the pot. Put water in the pot, squish it around. Clean the rice like that. If the water's cloudy, the rice is dirty, pour that water out. Put more water in there, squish it around. This is how you cook perfect rice. I want the world to know that right now.
So have you taught your son how to make perfect rice?
I'm teaching the world. You know what's funny is that's another one that Chelsea and I did. Chelsea made me go to her house and teach her how to make the rice. And of course, it came out wrong. I don't get it, man.
I like that. I don't know why. I always like when someone goes there with like an intention and then it
fails.
I was broke in college, and I was like, I'll just buy a bunch of rice to like stretch my meals. And as a black dude, I'd never made rice. I'm like, add water and boil it, and it was just like a snowball.
You're not washing rice.
I did not know what I was doing. So everybody does. You're doing the Lord's work. Teach everybody how to make good rice.
Al, when you make rice, people are like, is this mashed potatoes?
Yeah. I'd be like, yeah, it's just a different take on mashed potatoes, all right? Just eat it. All right, now let's talk about the important stuff. Metal Shop Masters, because I'm dying to know, like when you're on a set like this, do you pick up any metal working skills?
Ooh.
And well,
absolutely not. Not one. He's good. Incredible. I'm telling you, I've never met these are the most amazing artists on earth. I swear. They took garbage cans, scrap metal, old cars, old car tires, and then they would just make these big, beautiful sculptures. I mean, these artists are not recognized, and I can't wait for this show to come out because they need their light. They need to shine because what they do is incredible. Incredible.
I love that. In fact, you have like a really cool metal sculpture behind you. Was that from one of the artists in the show?
That's so funny. I thought you were talking about the Christmas lights because I'm lazy to take them out of my house.
Not the Christmas lights. A little early there, buddy.
How cool is that chandelier?
Yes.
I was going to mention that when we first started the show, but I was like, is that unprofessional? But I was like, I love that.
Is that from them? Go ahead.
When do you put up your Christmas lights? Do you put them up after Halloween, or do you wait till December?
After Thanksgiving.
Oh, I put these up 4 years ago.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
They are not coming down ever.
There you go. So before.
The better question is, when do you plug them in? After Thanksgiving.
That's a good point.
You don't take them down, you just plug them in.
Do you plug them in all year round?
Oh, right when Christmas starts, I don't stop. I never take them out. It's like, how can you not love Christmas lights? I let them go until about March.
Yeah.
And then the neighbors are like, take them down, Joe. Take them down.
And coming up on DBL, we get Chelsea Handler's take on why she poured vodka in Joe's ear, and the story of a woman who is accused of a crime she didn't commit. But get this, the crime never even happened.
Closed captioning provided by...
Most of us have heard the saying, you should drink 8 glasses of water a day. With this heat, is that enough water? The question, should everyone always be drinking exactly 8 glasses of water a day? Let's verify.
Our source is cardiologist Dr. Pyle Coley and the Mayo Clinic. According to the Mayo Clinic, water makes up about 50 to 70% of our body weight. Water also keeps your temperature normal, lubricates and cushions joints, and protects sensitive tissue. But Dr. Coley says many may not need the traditional 8 glasses.
Every day should not necessarily be the same amount. It should be adjusted up and down based on what you're doing.
So where does the standard 8 glasses of water come from?
That 8 glasses of water came from the fact that, based on a 2,000 calorie diet, for about every calorie that you consume, you need about 1 milliliter of water. That's about 2 liters or about 8 glasses.
Coley says the best way to tell if you're getting enough water in your system is the color of your urine.
It should be very light color. If it's starting to get dark yellow, that means you're not drinking enough.
It also depends on your activity level and if you are in a warm environment. The Mayo Clinic states most healthy people stay hydrated by drinking water and other fluids whenever they feel thirsty. For some people, fewer than 8 glasses a day might be enough, but others may need more. Dr. Coley says you can actually get water poisoning if you drink too much.
You drink so much water that you dilute out the salt in your blood.
So we can verify that no, not everybody should always drink exactly 8 glasses of water a day. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
Who are you?
I'm Tori. I thought everyone knew. Sorry.
I know you lying. You are wrong as all get out.
Be honest about what you are, but don't get tough when BLM protesters are walking down the street.
Don't you respect my opinions as well? I have to respect yours. Can't you respect mine?
So do not prevent me as a parent from getting my kids if you're not going to go in. That's where I stand.
Sorry, we're so emotional over here.
DBL is all new every day. Welcome back to DBL. Earlier, we aired our interview with Joe Coy, where he revealed Chelsea Handler's hack for getting water out of his ear. Now, here's our chat with Chelsea, who also talked about that very hack. Take a look.
Good morning, boys and girls. How are you?
That's appropriate. We've been acting like children all day. We are doing well. It's so good to have you on here. Chelsea, we talk a lot about mental health here on this show and how laughter definitely can be the best medicine. Since you're big on therapy, myself as well, how has it helped you make people laugh?
Well, it's made me calm down, which was the biggest problem, because I just found people so incredibly annoying. Even when I was on stage and I was the one holding the microphone, I somehow still found people annoying. So I had to really go in there and just say, listen, I have no patience, and yeah, everyone annoys me. I need to break this down. So it kind of, once you get a little gift, I call it the gift of self-awareness, right? Wow. You're paying somebody to tell you what's wrong with you. And I think that's the greatest transaction that it's the best investment I ever made. So it just kind of calmed me down and made me realize, to stop thinking of everything from my own perspective and kind of take in what other people are experiencing that are unlike me. And then that makes you a kind of more patient person. So I needed a professional doctor to explain all of that to me.
Shout out to therapy. Now, your new comedy tour, and I appreciate you naming this so I can say this on TV, is called Vaccinated and Horny.
Yes. Now, did you have to say it like that?
I got to put a little stank on it. All right.
Wait. He and I practiced this all morning. He said it perfectly.
Called me 4 o'clock in the morning. Get up. Now, I have to know, based on the title, what is the funniest thing about people having sex during the pandemic?
Well, my funniest experience about that during the pandemic was having my own COVID tests at my house, because at a certain point, after like 2 months, I realized, well, wait a second, this could go on for years, and I would like to make sure that I am keeping myself active, you know? So I got my own COVID, they were called Q Health COVID tests. I had them in my house, so I would invite potential suitors to my backyard, where I would give them promptly, as soon as they arrived, a nasal swab, and then I would put it in the cartridge in my kitchen, come back outside and interview them for the next 30 minutes. And if they said anything that was annoying, like, I don't think masks work, or I saw a pinky ring, for instance, then I would come out and say, I just got your test results. You're positive. You're going to need to leave.
Your pinky ring positive. Yeah. That's hilarious. All right, let's get dirty.
Pinky rings, yeah, that's a deal breaker. It's like seeing a studded belt. You know, you're in and then you're out. You're like, oh no more.
Let's get dirty. Earwax. Dirty. I have small tubes, and I want to talk about this ear thing that's going on with you.
Sounds like a euphemism.
It kind of is, but she knows what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Yes, we recently had fellow comedian Joe Coy on our show. He shared a surprising hack of yours, which I've been loving. You pour vodka in people's ear to clear out trapped ocean water. Now, we warned our viewers not to try it, but we got to know, how did you discover this hack? I use hydrogen peroxide and some hope.
Hope?
Yeah. Hope. Oh, yeah. Hope is always good. Hydrogen peroxide will work. Isopropyl will work. You know, any of those things. I just love Belvedere, so I just figure, you know, if I could pour that in somebody's ear, why not? That's my vodka of choice. But it does work.
It does.
I mean, I'll say it. I'll absolve you guys from any guilt. I'm not a medical practitioner or a doctor, but I like to think that I am. So I try all of my little things on my friends. But someone taught me that on a boat once, because I couldn't, you know, when you're dumping around trying to get the water out of your ear and look like a giant idiot, somebody was like, you know, you can just pour alcohol in it, and then you feel the sizzle, and it just evaporates, and you're like, oh, it's almost kind of addictive. I'm like, I want to get some more water in my ear.
Chelsea, you're not a doctor, but you do give good advice on your podcast. What's the best advice that you ever gave someone?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is good.
One guy, Shane, called in, and he had been smoking too much cannabis, and he said he wasn't getting stoned anymore. And I said, well, let's do a 30-day break. I'll do it with you in solidarity. Let's clear your head out. You shouldn't be smoking that much cannabis anyway. If you can't get stoned, what's the point? And we did a 30-day break. And when he called back, he said in that time, he gained so much clarity that he came out to his family as trans. Wow. And he had been hiding that for years. And he had gotten a different job. Like, just taking that 30-day break for him was life-changing. And, you know, that's when I would realize, I'm like, okay, I need to take this more seriously, because people are taking me seriously, you know? I mean, the people who are calling, obviously not the whole world, thank God. But the people that are calling, you know, I want to have an impact that's positive, that feels like you've got, you know, your big sister in your corner.
You only heard our conversation. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Probably the cutest couple ever, Joe Coy and Chelsea Handler. Sorry, Karen. No, but can I be honest? She recently came out as together with Joe Coy, and she said this: women, I always thought I'd never find someone, and I have to create myself into what a man wants, but I found the one. Don't change yourself. You can find him. And even if they don't last, right? If it's not forever, like right now, they seem like they're having a really good time. Just a lot of PDA. Lots. I love it.
And sometimes that's it. Sometimes every relationship isn't supposed to be to the end of time. Sometimes you just have a good 2-year run. That's okay, too.
Putting a number on them?
Yeah, you know, summer, long weekend, whatever.
We'll be right back.
The Federal Reserve did something it hasn't done in 28 years, raise the key interest rate by 0.75 percentage point. It's a response to soaring inflation and volatile financial markets, with the stock market officially entering bear territory. So the question, is it favorable to invest in the stock market when it's down? Our sources, the Federal Reserve, Chris Hobart, CEO of Hobart Wealth in Ballantyne, Ted Rossman, senior industry analyst for Bankrate.com and CreditCards.com. First, a quick vocabulary lesson. A bear market is when stocks decline at least 20% or more from recent peaks. A bull market is when stocks rise at least 20% from recent bear market lows and reach record benchmark highs, typically lasting for months or even years.
Inflation is up 8.6% year over year. That means virtually everything we buy, from groceries to gas to clothing, costs more. Chris Hobart says one of the ways to dampen inflation's impact is for the Fed to raise rates.
The Fed does this to kind of slow down the sloppy money that's out there.
This also has an impact on the market. The value of many stocks are lower right now.
You want to buy low and sell high. Too many people do the opposite.
But our experts say you have to take a long-term view.
It's a good thing. Hey, wow, I'm getting this company that was producing XYZ, but I'm getting it at a reduced rate. And that's what you have to look at when you look at stocks.
Hobart says historically, the market goes up over time. So investing in the market gives you a better chance for greater earnings than not investing.
I actually think it could be a phenomenal time to invest as long as you have a long time horizon and as long as this is meeting your risk assessment.
So we can verify, yes, it is favorable to invest in the stock market when it's down.
Welcome back to DBL. Imagine being imprisoned for more than a decade for a horrific crime that never occurred. It happened to a group of women dubbed the San Antonio Four. Earlier, we spoke with one of them. Here is another look at her story in today's Freedom Files, Wrongfully Convicted.
Sometimes the weight of a secret can be crushing. And 18-year-old Ana Vasquez is holding her secret close.
I have always been a lesbian. At the age of like 7 or 8, I was interested in girls. Was I out? No, I wasn't.
The only people who know are her closest friends, Liz, Christy, and Cassandra.
They were also kind of dealing with the same thing, dealing with the same issues in their own lives.
In July of 1994, the women hang out with Liz while she watches her 7-year-old and 9-year-old nieces. But Ana notices a dark cloud over the little girl's father.
He wanted to be in a relationship with Liz. When he found out that Elizabeth was a lesbian, he just didn't like it.
Less than a year later, the 4 women are indicted after the young girls say they were molested by the group during their summer stay. The girls' Aunt Liz is dubbed the ringleader. She is convicted and sentenced to 37.5 years in prison. Exactly 1 year later, Ana and the remaining 2 women stand trial together. Liz's nieces take the stand in both trials.
My emotions to hearing what the little girls were saying was very heartbreaking, in disbelief, shock. It's really hard to hear that you are doing these horrific things to innocent children.
As a final blow, the prosecution puts a doctor on the stand.
The thing that hurt us was the pediatrician and what she testified to as being signs of sexual trauma.
All 3 women are found guilty of aggravated sexual assault of a child and indecency with a child. They are sentenced to 15 years in prison. Ana quickly learns that her sexual assault conviction puts her in harm's way, so she lies.
For a very long time, I always said that I was in prison for aggravated assault. You know, like I can look like a badass, right?
Then in 2006, a professor who is studying female sex offenders reaches out.
He did his own research on us, on the case, and reached out to an organization that focused on child sexual abuse and the LGBTQ community.
While the Dallas Integrity Unit reinvestigates the case, the youngest victim recants her testimony. Then the pediatrician comes forward.
She said, "This is not true, and had I known the science back then, I would have never testified to it. And I'll never testify to that science now."
In 2016, the San Antonio Four are exonerated.
And the feeling was just, in a sense, it was like, you see, I told you so.
All 4 women are declared innocent.
Anna, thank you so much for joining us here in DBL. Your story is really important.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So looking back on your case, and I know a lot of it must upset you, but is there one specific moment or person that upsets you the most?
There is a pediatrician that was the quote unquote expert witness in this case that, kind of identified us as satanic worshipers at the time. Being so young that I wasn't really familiar of my surroundings in what people were thinking at that particular time.
I'm sorry. I'm shaking my head. I can't believe that Satan was introduced at her trial, and you have to give me a second because I've read this and it's still shocking to me. What was more shocking is after prison, you were able to meet with one of the girls that testified against you. What did you learn about her story in that meeting?
To be honest with you, it was everything that I thought could have happened. This was being told to her to say these horrible things about me. And it was just confirmed during that meeting. She was so brave to be able to come out to tell the truth, unfortunately going against her family and being kicked out of what she ever knew, but she was so strong and I completely commend her for that.
In the early 90s, unfortunately, there were a lot of stereotypes about the LGBTQ community. How did those stereotypes impact your case specifically? And do you believe that your case would have had a different outcome if it happened today in 2021?
That's a very good question. Do I think that it might have been a different time today? Maybe it wouldn't have gone as far as it did. But unfortunately, because I'm dealing with the Innocence Project of Texas as their outreach and education, I still continue to see these flaws in our system. Do I think that it played a part, being a part of the LGBTQ community back then? Absolutely. The stereotype was horrific. There was no public display of affection out there like it is today. It's so much more accepting. But back then, when I was accused of this, it was not accepted at all. It was almost like I was in hiding for so long.
After your exoneration, you said that you felt lost, but you were able to find your purpose again. How did you do that?
I'm one of the fortunate ones, and I thank God every day for that. Because there are so many people that don't find themselves again. They cannot get over the fact that this happened to them and, they've lost so many years of their life. Even though I am completely innocent, I was, compensated by the state of Texas. My record completely, expunged. I still have problems with coping to society. I have problems with trust issues. I have problems with my relationship. There's just so many different things that I think people don't realize that it does have an effect, and it's a long-lasting effect. There has to be changes.
Well said. And to those looking to help, speaking of which, visit the Innocence Project of Texas.org. There are multiple ways you can get involved in the movement of change. Thank you so much, Anna. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
President Biden recently called on U.S. oil refiners to produce more gasoline and diesel as gas prices in the country are at a record high. Around the same time, this copy and paste chain message claiming to tell the truth about gas prices began to spread rapidly on Facebook. Verify viewer Lauren and several others asked us to verify whether a claim included in the message was really true. It states, quote, "There is enough recoverable crude oil within the continental U.S. to supply current and projected future demand for 400 plus years. And that's just the oil we know about. It doesn't account for future discoveries. That's a fact," unquote. So let's verify. Is there enough recoverable crude oil in the U.S. to supply the country for 400 years? Our sources are the U.S. Geological Survey, the U.S. Energy Information Administration, and Andrew Lippow, president of Lippow Oil Associates. The term technically recoverable oil refers to the amount of oil that's in the ground that can be produced domestically using currently available technology and industry practices. As of June 17, 2022, the U.S. has an estimated 373.1 billion barrels of technically recoverable reserves of crude oil, according to USGS. The EIA and Andrew Lippow, an oil and gas expert, both say it's not enough supply to power the U.S. for 400 years. So let's do the math. In 2021, the United States consumed about 7.22 billion barrels of petroleum, up 8% from 2020, according to the EIA. With an estimated 373 billion barrels in technically recoverable oil, we would use that up in about 52 years. And in order to have enough supply for 400 years, we'd need more than 2.9 trillion barrels of recoverable reserves. And even with the reduced consumption in 2020, we still wouldn't have enough supply for 400 years.
Clearly, that statement is incorrect.
We can verify, no, there is not enough recoverable crude oil in the U.S. to last over 400 years. With your Verify, I'm Ariande Till.
The extreme heat is causing a lot of us to run a little hot. Some drivers getting frustrated with broken down cars this summer. But does that happen more frequently as temperatures rise? Let's verify. Do car batteries have more issues in hot weather rather than cold weather? Our sources, AAA and Peter Falone with the Universal Technical Institute. Every mechanic will tell you weather affects battery performance.
So the battery of the car actually, in high temperatures, it's when it takes the most amount of abuse.
Falone says a car battery goes through a lot of changes as it charges up, when you drive it, and when it discharges, or when you let it sit. And when it's really hot out, fluid in the battery takes a hit.
You're actually getting a lot of evaporation too. So it's going to impact that electrolyte solution inside of the battery.
AAA says in cooler northern climates, a battery can last 5 years or longer. But in the south, where it's hot, a car battery has a shorter life, about 3 years.
We don't realize that damage or that, the amount of work that battery's gone through, or the discharge of that battery until we get to lower temperatures.
So we can verify, yes, car batteries have more issues in hot weather than cold weather.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments and questions about us. In fact, Kayla has a question for Al. Are you ready,
no.
Al? Okay.
Yes.
She wants to know, what is the one skill you wish you had?
I wish I was better at outdoor stuff.
Oh yeah,
I'm not
I went
good
camping
at that.
with you.
I'm not. I wish, and yeah.
Al put wet leaves in a fire to start
that would
a fire.
help. He thought that
I'm
would
glad
help.
I tried to open up, and you guys really attacked me.
Hey, buddy, you're on the winning team.
Thank
You're
you.
just
That's
fine in
right.
the outdoors.
I was with Jeff. Saved my life. I would still be out there.
I remember watching you with the wet leaves, being like, "What is he doing?"
Not good.
Maybe I'm crazy
It was good
like
for
a
Tori
fox.
and I.
We did take that challenge.
And the next question is for me, from Carl. He asks, who is the rudest celebrity you served in restaurants or bars back in the day? Oh my gosh.
Spill the tea.
I would say back then it was Lindsay Lohan, but she was using at the time, so perhaps it was because of her
Right.
addiction.
Oh, we gotta go.
Right.
Yeah.
Drop the bar.
Bye, guys.